welcome to another episode of a interview with an industry specialist presented by Carta. My name is Gaetan Babin. I'm the president and CEO of the Canadian Resort and Travel Association, better known as CRTA. As you may remember, in our first episode, we had discussions with Jonathan Stoker, president of VOA, on customer engagement versus the sales process, which was a mindset that the industry has been dealing with since the 1970s. Great conversation. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, please go refer to it. But I'd like to continue this discussion again. And Jonathan, it's good to have you back.
It's a pleasure.
Jonathan is the president, let's say, of Vacation Ownership Advisor, and you've had the company going for 4 or 5 years, I believe.
5 years, yeah.
5 years
our
now.
5th year now.
Excellent. So learn a few things.
We've learned a lot. We've learned a lot, and I think it's the only way that you can have a business is you have your ups and downs, and you definitely learn a lot.
Well, I'd like us in this next period to go a little deeper into the future, into what needs to be changed, and from an association point of view, sales point of view, and whatnot. So. Let's take it back a little bit. As a sales first mindset, what we discussed the very first episode was everything was basically is how can we have a good VPG of volume per guest, and how do we do it and do it as honestly as possible. But that process obviously is in a change right now, and it's changing in some degree. With the introduction of new software and the new technology and ease of access now, with especially AI, which is another player that we got to bring into things, is the first shift. Does it happen during the sale, before the sale, in the process? Does it happen after the sales? Where's the first shift needs to happen?
I believe there's going to be shifts all throughout the entire process. I think one of the shifts that people now can take advantage of, especially with AI and all the new technology, and this is something even as easy as to do with a drone, is for even the larger, smaller resorts. This could go across the board. You look at a marketing agency that contacts a client for them to come on a presentation, a tour, and they're going to a hard location. These clients are walking into sometimes they're walking into an unfamiliar area. Let's say it's a travel club in Dallas, Texas. They're given directions on how to get there, and they're looking on Google Maps to figure out, where they're going to park and all these different scenarios. I think something that they could do is, using a drone feature or something, send them a quick link right to their phone the day before, which actually gives them like an actual video spot of showing them a drone. This is where you're going to park. And then it flies in and it goes up to the doorway. Then it goes upstairs and it goes in and it meets the salesperson or the girl who's going to check them in, the concierge team. Hi, my name is Tiffany. We can't wait to see you tomorrow. Let me show you around and introduce you to everybody you're going to talk to tomorrow. And then it goes around. Hi, I'm this person. So that way, they look at this quick little 60-second clip and they go, wow, this is amazing. Now we know exactly what's going to happen. It's the same philosophy of when you get in a car and someone just takes off and hits the gas, you freak out, right? Because you don't know that he's going to make a left, right, or where he's going to go. But setting that expectation, I believe, is something that is good. And then I think the presentations obviously are going to change.
Well, let's stick on the first point you brought in, which is it's important to marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing basically is obviously we've got within our own bubble, we've got the technology, the product design, but the marketplace out there, which is we're trying to sell to or attract to, obviously, is to attract them to come and take a look at our product. Traditionally was what known as the OPC, or they come out of a corner of a building and attack you. Hi, how you doing? You want to freeze? I mean, and it still exists to this day, obviously. The OPC model versus the on-site. I know some resorts, for instance, will not tour anybody unless they're staying at their resort.
That's right.
Iberostar is the first one that comes to mind, one of our great members. They said before we even talk to somebody, they've got to come and experience us first. We are engagement first, sales comes second. Phenomenal model. Mm-hmm. There's your mini vacation, which is very close to that also. The mini vacation is a model that, again, engagement first versus sales mind first as a whole. Right. Is there an end to OPC, or do you see that changing? Because there's some resorts that still do it fairly effectively to this day.
Sure. I don't see a a short-term end to it. I think that it will change. Where it's going to change, we don't know. But for us to say that it's not going to change in some form, maybe it's an AI-driven note that goes to your phone or something. I mean, eventually we won't have phones, right? You'll just have a machine. It'll do everything for you. It'll just be AI-driven. The mini vacation, I think, is something that's great as long as it's presented the right way and the clients get the proper accommodations when they arrive. We know that when they're on property and they're experiencing the customer service, they're experiencing the check-in process, and they feel what it's like to be an owner, it's something that's special. It's a high-valued client than someone that's just, brought in and, they're off the street, they're staying somewhere else, and they just walk in. The better client is the one that's on the minivac that's there.
Well, typically, if you go even Orlando, which is known for many as the timeshare capital of the world, discount tickets, the booths, they're everywhere. And I think there's a certain amount of greed there that they want discounts. People say, well, why will I pay the $250 when I can get a discount? Because the tour generation used to be, at a cost of $100, $200. It's $1,000 and above now in many, many resorts. But it's almost like I wouldn't say you bribe you, but they are acquiring customers at a very high cost. So they've got to be efficient in their sales process to be able to do a turnaround, to be able to close 20, if not 25% of these customers that they talk to. But the marketing process itself, it seems to be that mini vacations are getting stronger and stronger. Seems to be more of a demand for people going experience first, sales second. Versus let's sell you this thing and then show you what it will give it to you in the future.
Agreed. I think it's better. I mean, marketing in-house and having those clients that are actually staying in your property, because, I mean, let's face it, we don't know what the OPC said. We don't know if the OPC put them together and told them, say, hey, listen, I'm going to put you on 6 presentations over the next 6 days. You're going to say no to every single one. And at the end, you're going to walk home with $1,500 in cash and prizes. Right? We don't know if that tour is wired. We don't know if they bought the next day somewhere else and the OPC told them, hey, just go here and that's the challenge of that OPC tour. It happens, right? So I think marketing directly to the people that are checking into your hotel is great. It's quality, it's experience. You're showing them, hey, this is what we have. This is who we are. We want you to experience first and be happy. And then you can come on a presentation and then you decide what you want to do. I think it's a great way to do it.
Well, I agree. Especially I think the new generation is not as naive sometimes as some of the older generation says, it sounds great, let's go do it. There's always a little bit of suspicions when you approach with something that sounds too good to be true,
right.
Obviously. So on the marketing side, we're starting to see a shift as a whole. And I just don't know exactly where it's going to end up, but I know now there's the AI component that we can discuss for a little bit. Is this a real person calling me, or is this an AI avatar? Is this the voices that recognize it, but is it real? Is it a hold?
Yeah.
Does that put a little bit of hold back on the consumer out there, or does it say, you know what, do they expect that the world is just going that way and they expect AI communication more and more?
I think people expect it to change. I don't think they're really understanding of where it's going to go and how it's going to change our lives, and it'll make things simpler for us. It's also going to change a lot. Right now, when an AI person calls you, for the most part, right? It has certain breakups, and in 5 to 7 years, you won't know the difference, right? You probably will be able to be on a screen with someone and not know the difference. Right? It'll get to that point eventually. We have to assume that AI is not going anywhere. It's just going to keep evolving and changing. So I think from a clientele basis right now, that human engagement, human interaction is extremely important, because how many times do you pick up the phone and you call and then it's, hi, can I help you? And you're just like, oh, I just want to speak to a human, because it's not there yet at that point. And you're just like, you're on the phone, like human, right? I want to speak to someone. It's changing, and there's just nothing that we can do about it. And those that are willing to adapt and embrace AI and learn it and use it properly will succeed. Those that say, you know what, I really don't want to get involved in it. I'm scared of it and everything. Well, bye-bye, because you can't catch up. It's going to be such a fast growth.
Well, the one thing that AI has seemed to make great progress is by giving instant response to concerns and questions that people do have. And, I think the most frustrating thing that, especially in large corporations, it could be not just in our industry, but you try to get somebody on the phone or you leave a message or you leave a comment, even through one of the social medias like a Facebook or an Instagram, a comment, and it takes 4, 5, 6 days before you see any kind of response because the personnel, especially some larger corporations get maybe 1,000 clicks a day. They can't have the manpower to do that. So I think AI has got a space for that. But I hope not to see, as a personal opinion, a shift where humans are not involved in our process of the vacation ownership, because it very much is a personal lifestyle choice, and it's not robotic as far as the response.
Agreed.
You want to have true emotions and somebody that's saying, let's find something that's really going to suit you and complement your dreams and for you and your family.
Yeah, the human interaction it's key, right? We may evolve to that point to where we can have someone sit next to us and they're not real. Well, they're real, but we don't know, right? And I'm sure we'll get to that point. And for those of us to think that, that will never happen, well, 30 years ago, you didn't think you'd be able to pick up a device and call someone in Tokyo, right? But we can do it, and now we're sending images and we're doing all these different things. So technology is evolving. It's going to go faster. It's helped our business model as well. I think that allowing us to grow and to learn more and to scale faster, we wouldn't be able to be where we're at today without it. Social media is an example. Social media is a lot of work, right? To go online. And when I started VOA, there was no ChatGPT, right? If you think about this, what we're going through, this shift, this was 5 years ago. ChatGPT didn't exist, AI. It was just starting its little thing. And you would have to go online and you'd have to write and you'd have to proof and read everything and make sure when I was writing emails to other CEOs or just anything you were doing, you were really in there focusing, having to Google things and check it out. This morning I woke up, I told ChatGPT, I said, this is what I want, create this image, design it this way, I need this many pixels, I need the design. I hit 30 seconds later, it was done. And cross post, and it's up on LinkedIn. So it's time, right? It's time is our friend now. It saves us.
See, associations, one of the challenges that we do get, and I'd like your opinion on this, is we can only recommend, we can't enforce rules, regulations. So the only way that I've found that we could get a little bit of power and get on top of this curve is saying, we won't endorse you unless you do follow our rules, our code, and are transparent and do it properly. So, but we also have to evolve with the changing of the product and the changing of the units and the marketing practices that are out there. So, but what could we do more to make sure that experience and that at the end of the day, the consumer experience is a positive one, if we can enforce it, except by endorsing it?
That's the tricky part, not being able to enforce it and being an association. That's the tough part, right?
We fought legislation, and where we've actually been successful in discussing it by partnering up also with the help of ARDA that came and helped us out with some Canadian legislation that was changing, that was affecting our industry in a very negative way. Well, we realized that the government was not educated at all about our industry. They were basically doing the Band-Aid thing, trying to say, we've got some complaints, so we're changing something. And when we sat down and discussed with them the issue, I did ask them, what do you know about our industry as far as the philanthropy that we do, the hiring that we do, the consumer experiences? Nothing. They knew nothing. They just knew they were handling some of the complaints. So we know our role in that area, and I think in the States especially, because like you were mentioning in our previous interview, 50 states have different governing rules and regulations. So it's very complex. So they invest literally millions of dollars into fighting this legislation. We don't have the same issues in Canada, so we're lucky. But what we do have, we get some assistance from the other associations.
Yeah.
But moving forward, what looking at is AI, I don't think we know yet, excuse me, how impactful it's going to be on the sales side of things, which I feel it's coming because there's already online things that are being done to promote on sales, AI sales. So which is a little concerning for us because I can't control. Although what I'm being told by these people is that, but AI will say exactly what you're supposed to say. It recognizes it doesn't lie. It won't take advantage of a situation to promote a product unethically. Whatnot. It's consistent, but it still misses that human approach, which is a little bit of a concern. So, you feel we're going to get replaced by robots?
If you had to look at my vision right now, what I'm looking, I think that when you walk into a restaurant and you look at your waiters, yes, they will be replaced in time. 50 years from now, my son is 19 years old now. He'll be 69 years old. There's a very good possibility that he will take a trip and go into outer space. There won't be an iPhone. They'll be like, Dad, you had an iPhone? Like, right? We used to use these things. Everything is going to evolve, right? And we have to just realize that change is constant, and we have to be willing to embrace it. And we have to think as a business, what is going to stay the same 10 and 20 years from now? This is how we become successful, is because if we're thinking about now, we have to think what works now and what is going to work 20 years from now. And what works now is engagement and relationship building. That will stay constant. That has been there since 50 years ago, hundreds of years ago. That will not change. You have to build that into your business model of whatever you're doing, is that relationship building. The products around it will evolve. People are going to want things faster and quicker. They're going to want things resolved faster in a professional way. And it's all going to be about credibility and then your options. It's not going to be about cost so much, right? I mean, it's a little bit, but people are willing to pay more to have a better experience, right? There's a reason why there's a Spirit Airlines and there's Delta, right? The CEOs are not generally flying Spirit, right? They're flying Delta. Why? It's the experience that they get, the way they're treated, the reward levels, the different things that they're doing. So I think that as an industry, whether you're big, small, or anything, it's that customer relationship building. And then finding a couple other key points that you think aren't going to change 30 years from now. And you build your business model around that, and that will help you get long-term success.
See, there's been a lot of newcomers in the industry, in the travel industry, such as it used to be travel agents. I mean, I remember very much when I first started traveling in my 30s, is you went to a travel agent and you say, this is where I want to go. And you trusted the input they gave you. And now I remember also showing me a brochure where I was going to stay. And when I got to the destination, I looked at the brochure and I looked at the destination. I looked, the highway, where's the highway on the brochure? And, and the beach that was there was superimposed. So no clue. Again, I think I think that's what gave us a nice boost to our industry, to say, listen, we guarantee you a nice spot, nice vacation.
Right.
Now there's your Airbnb and VRBO and so forth that are coming in. Some are great experiences, but I hear more and more surprises that are coming out of that industry of not so good experiences. You know what? We were charged for something that we never did. There was a broken piece of a mirror. It was not furnished the way they said it was going to be as a whole. So I don't know if there's a future within that industry, because there's good value if it works well. Obviously, it's a good option. But our industry, where it's been consistent, is into the quality of the experiences and whatnot. And I think on the, again, engagement side of getting people to experience the resort versus just off the blind being attracted by a discounted offer seems to be a way to go. So
it is.
But as an association, is if we can't control and dictate how things are going to be done, which I'd love to be able to say, unless you operate under these terms, you can't operate in Canada or so forth. So The one thing we were successful at doing initially in Canada was establish a rescission period, which was a little controversial for some small developers. Say, why would they give them the choice to cancel after they bought? Because it eliminates high pressure sales, gives them a chance to discuss this with their friends and relatives, make sure they bought the right thing, and it'll force you to do a good sales process. So
Exactly.
we've been lucky, but that is a government enforced issue. It's not an association enforced legislation. So, but what would an association needs to go really to start promoting versus just not recognizing and not engaging, let's say, partnership with operators that are not showing a transparent model.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Like, not endorsing them, not allowing them to be a part of the association. Word spreads fast in our industry. Our industry is large, but it's also very small. I think having, annual meetings with the developers themselves, sitting down with, the CEO of Hilton, the CEO of Marriott, and all these companies, sitting down and saying, okay, how are we going to work together? Because we're always stronger in numbers, right? And if we're always on the same page, working together, we're going to accomplish more things. So this is not the association saying, hey, this is the way it has to be done. This is us as professionals saying, this is what's best for the industry. Why don't we just come together and all align? And we're going to do our best, because what's happening on the sales floor, what happens post-sale, what happens in the management level starts here with the CEO of the company, and it goes down and goes down. If you have things that are going wrong on your sales floor or marketing, or it's your fault.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. It's your fault, because you didn't set the right standards and you didn't train the right people down. Now, we're all going to have issues, right? This is the joy of being a CEO. The joy is of having a business. It's just you're constantly dealing with everything that's wrong, right? And that's just the way it is. It's not about all the success. It's about, how do I fix things all the time? And that's your responsibility. So why not start here? Have a meeting, everybody sits down. And I know that, we do this at certain times, but I don't know. I think it would be good to have that conversation and say, hey, listen, we know this sales rep, we know this person, we know this issue that's going on. How do we fix it together?
Well, at the conferences that we hold on an annual basis, there's a segment that is through GNEX, which are a facilitator for our conferences, what we call the boardroom. And then what we try to do is put 6 or 7 or 8 industry specialists, but a variety from different roles, to be able to address some of these issues. And it seems to be one of the favorite events at the conferences, because people want to say, okay, where do I go from here? It's, again, proactive versus reactive. Because our industry traditionally has been very reactive. Now, by being proactive, it seems to be going in the right direction. So in the post-sales, I don't want to touch on that again, because that is really your model. You've created initially just an engagement, just following with a customer on to establish a relationship, educate more on their product and whatnot. What's the second level? Where do you take it from here?
We've been looking at this over the last 2 to 3 years, maybe almost 4 years. Since we really started, after the first year, we went from the customer service to booking reservations, to handling profiles of members, meaning their Marriott Bonvoy, Hilton Honors. And it became kind of an extension of some companies' brands in the travel club industry to help them. During that period of time, we've been able to see what I feel is opportunity to be able to create a positive impact on our industry and address a market that I feel needs help. And what we've decided to do, and something we're going to be rolling out in the next few weeks, is VOA Worldwide. What this model is going to do is, in our opinion, we believe that the white label industry is an old, outdated model that needs to be changed. And we believe that there's opportunity there to help from a positive standpoint on how to add more credibility to the industry, and also help the consumer get a better product, better experience, and also help the entrepreneur and the business owner that wants to do a white label company. So what we've decided to do is make VOA Worldwide a franchise model. So if we look at the two opportunities that an entrepreneur has today, right? Well, they have a couple different ones right now. They have different white labels that they can go to. So as we were talking in the first episode, they can turn around and go to an Arivia, they could go to an RSI, they could go to any of these companies, and they could say, here's my logo, I want to be a white label.
Yep.
What's next? I mean, like, what's next? Okay, I get a contract. I'm gonna get a walkthrough, get a couple brochures. I have customer service, right? That's gonna handle my inbound reservations. What else do I have? There's nothing. So if this entrepreneur, this business person who's now got this white label has a client 6 months from now that has, or whatever, they perceived it as a bad experience, or they felt the value wasn't there, whatever it was, could this individual contact one of these white label providers and say, I need the phone records and I need all the value that was presented to this member. I need to know their history, their engagement. How did the welcome call go? Did they get their logins on the first time? Okay, what's the experience like? Have you reached out to them? You know, what is that? Because I need to now create a report, an engagement report, and I might need to fight a chargeback. I don't think they're getting that information, right? And it's not because they don't want to provide the information. It's not like they don't want to help. It's not their business model. So you have two businesses that are doing completely different things. This person has to sell. They sell, let's say they sell 100 deals, just as an example, and 20 cancel. Does the white label provider do anything? No, they don't do anything. They send a bill for the other 80, right? The only time that white label solution calls them is when they want to renew them. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin this off as a franchise. We're going to give the entrepreneur the opportunity now to say, do I want to spend XYZ and put my logo here and build the whole brand and go through, find a credit card processor, find how to do social media. How do I do my SOPs? How do I present it properly? I have to buy computers. I have to set up a whole entire business model. Now they can come to VOA, and obviously we're going to vet them. We're going to go through, we're going to find out who they are, what's their goals, what are they planning on doing. And now they're going to have the opportunity to be a franchisee and be able to offer the VOA Worldwide product. Now, we're not Marriott. We don't have, millions of members. We have 5 years in the industry. We've been awarded, Best Consumer Product 2 years from GNEX. Luxury Lifestyle Awards awarded us the Best Vacation Ownership Advisor in the United States, same company that recognizes companies like Ritz-Carlton and Hilton and many others, Four Seasons and others. And now that they're going to have a choice to be able to say, hey, I want to do it right. And we're going to be there to support them because we're now one team. We're all together. Yep. They need anything, they can just contact us and let us know. And I think that's where things are going to evolve, is that there needs to be something else there than just, hey, I'm going to put a logo on a website and go, because it's not that. It's we're going to manage your entire profile. We just signed an agreement with Ben's Big Deal, and we're going to launch this in 2 weeks at GNEX in Cancun. He'll be joining us down there. And he is one of the best point strategists that is on the internet, speaks at conferences all over the United States. Our members are now going to have access to that, right? We want to take it to not just a hotel discount and a platform, but an actual membership with purpose.
What segment, this is great information. One segment of the industry that, as the Canadian Association is getting more and more aware of, and I've discussed it with other associations, and it seems to be on the back burner a lot, but for me it's becoming front burner a lot, is legacy resorts and sold out resorts that have No, their inventory is sold out and whatnot. And one of their biggest concerns is, let's say they have 100 units and they have 5,000 owners. So just as an example, they have to collect their fees. So they have a HOA, a homeowner association, that collects their fees on an annual basis and uses those fees to paint, change the furnishing and whatnot. When a resort is no longer active in sales, this is their only source of revenue as a whole. They've been kind of left behind, and now that the big exchange companies some of them are still involved with them as a whole, but are really focusing on the big picture.
Yeah.
They've kind of formed a little bit of a resistance to talk even to associations, because they feel every time we talk to somebody, it's about if you want to sell your stuff, give us the money. And the resale companies have been approaching them, and the exit companies, which is a real nightmare, obviously. But they are the ones that need a lot of help. I know in Canada we've identified over 80 resorts that are actually sold out. Inventory is gone, just managing. And they said, if we are a discrepancy of, say, 10% of our maintenance fee that year, that means that our budget basically is cut. So do we increase the maintenance fees for the other members? And it's become a real challenge. Can that be resolved just by great communication, by, listen, we're here, let's help you out? Because they've been approached, but they're very, very tactful to respond.
Yeah, the legacy resorts is such a challenge. The owners, you feel bad for them, right?
Yep.
Because, they made an investment and they just don't have anybody there to help them anymore. I think dealing with them directly now, obviously, is a very soft approach. It's sitting down. It's you almost have to offer them something complimentary and say, hey, listen, for the next 6 months, your members can call us. We're going to help them. We'll do whatever we need to help them. And if they want to continue with us in the future, then, obviously we'll work it out and we'll figure out a way where it's beneficial for the client and for everybody. And also sustainable financially to be able to provide the service, right? You can't give it away for free, because then you can't provide good service, right? I think going forward, installing the proactive business model into clubs, to resorts, will change that from happening in the future. The reason why we're at that point now in these legacy resorts is because there was no service and no follow-up trust previously. So as soon as it shut down, there was no one there to help them. This is the whole, you go back again, why was VOA created? There's your answer. Mm-hmm. Every legacy resort is a perfect example of why, because they have nothing. Now, if that would have shut down and everything, they would still have a company there being able to engage them every 2 months, working with them, building a relationship. So we ask ourselves, why are these resorts and why are these members in the situation they are? It's because we did nothing for so many years in that space.
And every time they're approached by somebody in the industry, from, again, what we get as a feedback is somebody's trying to sell them something.
That's right.
So now they said, easy, we just don't answer the phone anymore.
That's right. And they just say, we'll just keep our week and we are where we are.
Yeah.
Right. And it's unfortunate. And they are where they are because of the decisions we made.
Yep.
It's our fault that they're that way. It's not their fault. They bought a functional product with a sales team, with everything.
In good faith.
In good faith. And it's now gone, and they're the ones that suffered, right?
The good news is we're proud to announce is that we were approached by a group of HOAs recently that, because of new legislation that's being proposed in Canada, that they've got an issue. They don't know how to deal with it in this. So they contacted us to say, we need your help. I said, well, okay, now this is a first start. Quickly, I realized they cannot afford a full membership the same as an active in sales and whatnot. Yeah. So, like you're saying, offer them something for free. We had to say, let's get you on board to start with. And then we can now, when we're going to talk to the government, we can say we represent you also. Because right now I can't promote that we're representing ABC Resort when they're not a member. So, and there's a lot of resorts that will phone us sometimes that we bought a typical call, just bought a timeshare in let's say Mexico for the fun of it, and we can't get in touch. We'd like to get out of it. Whatever question, I say, well, you're not a member of the Canadian Association. I can't do nothing. as a whole.
Yeah.
So we really want to promote our members because our members agree to abide by the code of ethics. The experiences that they have proven to be superior to just a standard resource because they are very transparent. They looked at this whole thing. But we still get, again, it's a little bit of reactive from our point of view is we're trying to attract these people because the stronger we are is when everybody joins in. If every resort was a member of the Canadian Association, the consumer would have a better experience at the end of the day. We know that.
Agreed. If you're selling a product to Canadians, you have to be a member of the association. Like why?
Well,
this is my thought, right? This is my this isn't the law. I'm just saying, why wouldn't you? Like
I'm with you on this one.
Even if we're talking about Mexico, we're talking about everything, and they're like, why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you have that certificate there? Because and abide by those ethics. You know, we had the conversation before about and there's Canadians go to Mexico, they love it, and let me tell you, they spend money down there and they enjoy it. We get lots of requests for that. Cancun, Cabo San Lucas, Puerto Vallarta, they love it. All inclusives, always talking very positively about it. Sales representatives, if you're sitting there as a manager, as a sales representative, you should be, in my opinion, you should be certified by CARTA to be able to talk to a Canadian couple or client. A very simple course, very simple thing to go through. And you have your data registration online. And I know, for instance, me, I would feel great as a client. Like, here I am sitting in front of someone and they go online and say, oh, here's my registration, just like a real estate license, et cetera. It's a little course you go in, and here's my license and here's my ID. And I've been certified by the Code of Ethics and also Canadian Resort Association to be able to sit down and speak with you. And that's why I'm here today.
Well, trust is always a factor. And I think that's where we start promoting resorts outside of Canada, because American Resort Association basically promotes and assists resorts within North America and the United States, and Mexico does. I'm sure we have a lot of Canadians that travel down south of our border, especially in the wintertime. So we start saying we're an association not only for Canadian properties, but we want to endorse the products that are outside of our country that will provide a very good value product, unquestionably. So give comfort to Canadians to do it. So one good example of that is somebody as a recently new member that we have in Mexico. When I was talking to them, they said, listen, we love Canadians, but sometimes we have a hard time convincing them just to come and take a look at our product.
Sure.
And I said, if you were endorsed by the Canadian Association and you said, listen, I know you're Canadian, but listen, this is who we are. We follow the Code of Ethics. And you think it might help? We would like to try it. And they went up their marketing. So it's good on the sales point, but their marketing approach, it just increased tremendously. They said, people are still saying, we'll take a look. We're not buying anything, but we'd like to take a look. If you're actually endorsed by the Canadian Association and they can phone us, they can write to us. We have our member services that will respond immediately if there's any question, concern. But that particular resort now has been a member for going close to a year. Zero complaints from all of the member base. So
awesome.
Last year, Canadians still spend $900 million in Mexico. That's still not a small number by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But that number has increased in percentage. They said that most resorts in Mexico, 15% of their customer base are Canadians. So 15% of $6 billion in sales is still $900 million. But every resort that wants to follow our code and be transparent and do good business, which is, I'd say, is the majority of the resorts now. I think that's changed from 20, 25 years, 30 years ago, where it was all about sell.
Agreed.
Now it's because they understand the big value that was missed before is reloads and resales.
Right.
And if that becomes a big part of the equation today, that wasn't there before. So now that people start recognizing that it's not just on the first generation sale, people that have bought, if their experience are that good, the marketing cost for a second gen tour is a fraction
Correct.
of what a first generation is, which could be, let's say we discuss $1,000, $1,500 as a second generation is very small. So they understand that. So, but they should be endorsed. If they're going to sell to Canadian, they should be endorsed by the Canadian Association. As simple as that.
They should. I mean, 100% agree with that scenario. They should be endorsed in it and should be a part of it. I mean, why wouldn't you? This is what you're selling. It's almost like a no-brainer. I don't really understand why. I mean, if I was a developer and I'm talking to Canadian clientele and they're staying on my property, why wouldn't I be part of association? I mean, it's like, I don't know. It doesn't even make sense.
Well, we've grown on a yearly basis, and I think it's the little snowball effect initially. I mean, when you looked at when we did that shift to start promoting resorts that were selling and dealing with Canadians that had an interest in the Canadian market, we saw a shift from just having Canadian properties to start looking at American properties and Caribbean. We even have some Central America right now that are approaching us that says, no, we feel Canada's a great market for us, but unless we're endorsed by you, we feel we have very little credibility to be able to sell to Canadians. Yeah. That's music to my ears. And I told him, I said, you've got to endorse me. You've got to be able to practice what you've got to endorse our code, and you've got to follow things professionally, because we don't want surprises. We are consumer agency protection at the end of the day, right? That's
absolutely. And you made a good point. I mean, the majority of resorts and everything out there they're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Right. There has been a shift. It's not the 1970s. It's not the 80s, the 90s. The products are becoming better. There's a lot more moving parts, right, to it. A lot more options, which is good because it gives owners more flexibility. It gives them, like you said, the owner a reload. The owner is obviously the easier sale, right? We'll say, so to speak, especially the happy one that's engaged, that really enjoying the product. That comes back to proactive, customer service post sale. But that's where it boils down to. And I think that overall, as an industry, we have an extremely successful growing industry that's going to continue to thrive, and it's going to just change. How it's going to change, I don't know. I mean, I have a couple ideas of things that are going to happen in the future. But overall, it's really good. Really good.
To do it on the growing scale, I suppose that the industry's starting to realize, that the people coming back at our resort and our property that have had good experience are more likely to, say, increase their portfolio.
Yeah.
So is the model moving to shorter time, shorter costs, smaller costs at first generation sales, versus in the days of buy 3 weeks, but if you buy 3 weeks today, we'll give you a 4th week for free, and then you end up having a month. Go for the big juggler right off the gate? Or are we seeing more drive towards a smaller, shorter, 5 years, 10 years, 2 years? I don't know if I want to use them as trial programs, but a little bit of trial involved here.
Those are great. That's a great question. We see it a lot, and the short-term product has the most rescission and issues with it, and instant where the client just does not feel the value because they're comparing it to a long-term. We see it. I see clubs try to do it, and they offer a product, price, product, and then they go, oh, well, I'll give you this 5-year membership for this term, for this cost. If the client doesn't buy, the reality is because they're like, oh, it's 5 years, I'm done. I'd rather have the lifetime. Some people do like the short-term commitment. I get it. It's listen, there's products out there for everybody. But I can tell you from personal experience of dealing with it over the last 5 years that the clients that are, we'll call them the most frustrated, and reasons why they didn't buy is because of that.
Yeah.
Because you're better off giving them a product that they can just renew on their own every single year if they want. Why limit them to 5 years? It destroys the value add unless you're going to give it away for, a couple $100.
So it's quality versus quantity. It'd be the same as we're looking at television these days. We just bought a new house, and you need TVs, obviously. So you can have you can actually buy a 100-inch TV now. I mean, a 100-inch TV. I look at the thing, I said, it's a monster. I want one. But if you want to get large for the same price, then the quality is crap. Right?
Yeah.
And once you get the 100-inch, it's a lot. I look at the new OLED 100-inch, $35,000. for the TV.
Right.
Now, once I woke up after passing out, I said, okay, well, maybe we got to look at another option. Relate that to the timeshare businesses is smaller product, which is the quantity is smaller, but is the quality that much less versus a longer term product? It seems to be, if the customer satisfaction is not there,
it's not
is
there.
it because the quality of what they're purchasing will not give them the same experience as a more vested consumer?
Not so much. Well, it can be depending on how the membership is set up on the experience. Most of it is value. Most of it is just value add. And they'll even tell us at the end, if we do a survey call, they'll just tell us we didn't purchase at the end because of this.
Okay.
Comes out a lot. We didn't purchase because they offered us this 3-year trial at the end, 5-year trial at the end, and we didn't see any value in that. It happens. I mean, we don't ever turn around and say, let's just say that the phone call would be extremely rare for them to call us up or say, hey, listen, yeah, we just bought because it gave us like 2 or 3 years. You do have that client that gets that, but the majority of are coming are different, are different in that aspect.
But they're asking for a smaller product. It's a fact that the consumer out there, if you talk to the new generation, he said, we can look into a 10-year program, and maybe down to 2 or 3 year, which is your true trial.
True trial,
which is, and you're forced to come back to the resort because we want to give you a chance to upgrade. I mean, so out of that 2 years, you have to commit. But they're moving away from the lifetime. The lifetime product that we're seeing out there right now is people say, okay, we bought a membership. We kind of use the resort a lot. And they offered us a chance for a fractional, a new term now all of a sudden.
Right.
And the fractional used to be either a 3-month or a 6-month or 3-month share. Now fractionals can be 3 weeks.
Right.
You know, it doesn't have to be all of a sudden, but it's 3 weeks of sometimes maybe 3 weeks in prime time. They want to use the resort. They know they want a guaranteed President's Week or they want to be guaranteed a Christmas week and whatnot. And then sometimes they say, well, these are the weeks we'll use from an exchange, so maybe we don't need as prime time as a whole.
Right.
And these are people that have invested. That becomes a real estate purchase all of a sudden.
That's correct. And it's a different client, right?
It's a different client.
It's a different client, different mentality, different purchase. They're looking at their membership completely different than the person that's going in and buying 4,000 points at the select level with Marriott Vacation Club. Right, it's a completely different owner.
But what are your customers telling you? The new generation, is there a year they say we would consider that many years? Because it seems to be moving away from the lifetime, especially on first gen.
Yeah, we're seeing that on the first gen that people are asking for a reduction in years. They would be more comfortable. From the information we've gathered from talking with roughly about 800 members that are in this specific group that we're working with, that we've been talking to on that, the number's about 10 to 15 years. In that number is where they want to be. 5 years, too short. You can see it. It's right there. 10 years, it's out there. 10 years from now, a lot of things are going to change in this world. 5 years from now, maybe 2. But it's usually they bought a 25-year, 30-year. They're like, you know what, I'd be interested in the 10 to 15-year range. That seems to be the sweet spot for people at the moment, that ones that we're speaking to.
All inclusive. We haven't touched on that so much right now.
Correct.
A good all inclusive is great. Now I've noticed from my last experience that we've tried at a resort was the different tiers of all inclusive. So you got this level, better champagne, better this, better room, and better not as a whole. Again, from talking to our what's the term I would use, to the consumer at the end, which gives us our rating. That gives a true rating how well done. What do you see as far as these different levels? Are people happy in this? It's like a neighborhood in Monaco. We noticed that the middle level is pretty good. The bottom level, the food, questionable a little bit. The higher level, oh my God, the service is beyond
the best.
But what are consumers saying as far as the all inclusive? Because most of Mexico right now is promoting all inclusive. So
all inclusive, extremely popular. Whether you're paying in cash or whether you're using points.
Yeah,
right. It's definitely something that they're requesting, especially the Canadian market. I mean, when they're going to Caribbean and everything, they're going all inclusive, and they enjoy it and love it and get the value out of it. And it's a great value add. What we do notice is that the product is sold on resort weeks itself. And the majority of the transactions, 80 to 85% of your reservations, are in hotel individual stays. So it's sold one way, but yet it's used another way. Now, and then those reservations, when they go into those resort weeks, they are in the all-inclusives. And overall, I have to tell you that, they're extremely happy. Like, they love it. Like, it is something that they like, and they are willing to pay for it because they feel the comfort and security of not having to go anywhere on the resort if they don't need to. And they can just go anywhere. The kids can get a couple hot dogs, a couple Coca-Colas, a couple drinks, whatever you need. And it's a big benefit. It really is. There's obviously the other hand where you have your own condo and you just go out and do your own thing if you're exploring the resort. But the all-inclusive business model is a great model, especially for families. You sit down and have dinner with 4 or 5 people, you're not spending $100,
no.
Right? And if you are, please show me where you're going to dinner because we're going to promote it to all the members because they're going to want to be there. It's a great value add. It really is. From the Nickelodeon.
What is the Mexico experience? Again, the all-inclusive they have is phenomenal, especially as you get into the higher levels. It's experience. It's almost like a cruise in some ways. We've enjoyed multiple cruises, and there's different levels of cruises. Obviously, without giving names,
right.
Some of them will give you an incredible high-end experience, and some of them are just value again, quality versus quantity as a whole. If we travel to Europe or if we travel like this, we don't not look for all inclusive. We want to be able to get a accommodation and just go around with our little basket and go to markets and blah, blah. But you go to Mexico, it's a big demand is we just want to be there, unlock, put my wallet away, put my credit card away, and eat as much as I want to. If I want a few cocktails, even at 9, it's there for you.
There.
And they really put a lot of fun, dances in the pools and parties and experiences and shows and whatnot as a whole. Is the new generation going towards that more and more now? Are you seeing them more independently going, traveling, creating their own experience? What are they asking?
Creating the experience. Obviously, there's still, if you're buying into certain points programs or so, you're into that. You're going to go to those all-inclusive resorts, but we're seeing a big push into these experiences and tours. And things, we're going to be releasing opportunities for our members. We're going to be providing online through our website over 50,000 daily options. And that's a realistic number in over 160 countries that you're going to have opportunities to be able to choose from getting married in your own palace to just doing a bicycle tour down, central Rome. And we're seeing a big push towards that Antarctica experience as people want to take a sailboat through the Caribbean. Just different experience. The hotel stay is great. It's always going to be there. The resort stay is always going to be there. But we're starting to see that trend of going to, and
so
cruises
different product,
well.
Yeah. So different product, obviously, for different. Some people don't like cruises. Because you feel you're in the same place the whole time. But again, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
That's right.
Your position, because you talk to the consumer, which is at the end after the sale, it gives us probably the best rating how we're doing as far as an industry. So I put a lot of value into your input. I very much appreciate it. Yeah. So just to finish this off, Jonathan, we're sitting back here at this table 5 years from now. What's the product going to be like? Add AI, whatever you want to do, add into this thing. What is the consumer going to be look at? Because our industry, and I'll give a fact that a lot of people don't know, is when COVID happened, right, it shut down everywhere. Hotels down, the numbers, traveling as a whole. But our industry sustained itself. And not only sustained itself, it didn't drop like all the hotel stays did. People said, we got my guaranteed condo. I'm going there. May wear a mask on the way in, on the way out. But I want my... And those of them that did not vacation, could not go to their condo because of travel, missed it. They realized we like our vacation, and we realize how important this is for us. We couldn't go this year because border crossing and whatnot as a whole.
Yeah.
But let's assume there's not going to be any more major crisis in the world, okay? And we're going to keep growing the way we've always have.
Yes.
5 years from now, somebody gets invited to take a look at our product. What's our product going to look like? I don't know if you can answer that. Just give it a shot.
Great question. I see two quick scenarios. One is something that we talked about, the business model. I do see the same way there are white label companies now that are strong and they're there providing a good service. I see franchise companies there as a brand to go into that space. I think it's something that has to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, it's something that it's there. I see the ownership of, like, we'll take the Marriotts, the Hiltons, you know, the Wyndhams. I see them adjusting in a way to understand is that you have clientele that you upgrade multiple different times. How many times can we continue to upgrade them, and where does the value add come in? Like, once you get to chairman's at a certain level, you're buying points to use towards travel, right? I mean, and you could do some other different experience with it, but in a nutshell, it's still designed there. It's not designed to flip into hotels, et cetera. You can redeem them for certain things, but what I do see is I see a currency that is going to come out among each brand. Marriott will have its own currency. A resort will have its own currency chain, and that currency is going to be something that they could use. If I am a Marriott Vacation Club member, I could be here in Vancouver and one of the trusted brands, and I could go down and have a coffee, and I could open up my app and I could redeem points. Mm-hmm. And I could spend it inside of that network, because that's what the consumer's doing. They're traveling, they're moving all the time. I don't want the vacation experience just to be part of their vacation club experience.
Flexibility, depending how their need changes to new kid in the family, that changes as traveling. So you love the business. That's one thing I love about you is you just are passionate about making the product, the experience better. And it seems that the profit is so secondary, because you never talked about I'll make more money if I do this as a whole. You're always thinking about somebody's going to ask you in an elevator, you're in a timeshare business. No, why do you love this industry so much?
You get the chance to help people. I think you change people's lives. I had the opportunity when I took a flight last week to Orlando, and I sat there next to a gentleman, and the conversation came up because, you know, what do you do for a living? And I said, I give people the opportunity to do things that they've always wanted to do and dreamed of, and I help change their life. And he looked at me like this, and he goes, that sounds cool. He goes, what do you do? And then we went into the conversation, and that's what we do. We are trading energy back and forth between two individuals and helping them do things that
otherwise wouldn't happen.
They would never do it. And it's sometimes it takes an extra push to do something in life, right? You get comfortable in certain places. People get comfortable maybe not traveling that year. I was very comfortable working for Marriott for the years I was there. I loved it. COVID came. I had to start to think, what is the plan? What am I going to do? Do I stay where I'm at, or do I take that shot now? It put me in an uncomfortable situation. And because of COVID was the best thing, I look at it, that happened to me in that respect, because it allowed me to take a chance. Yeah. And I think that everybody should take an opportunity to do what they love, because sometimes the opportunity doesn't come back.
Well, I think the world is only starting to see the beginning of Jonathan Stoker. I think you're going to make a huge impact. I'll make a prediction. His projection is your name in the industry will be big, because your vision of not how this product should be made or designed, but how the experience has got to follow through in a transparent way is good. So I congratulate you, and I look forward to working many more years with you. So
thank you, Gaetan.
Thank you again for being with us today, and it's been great having you for the second hour. Looking forward for our next interview with an industry specialist. My name is Gaetan. I thank you for your attention.